A new scandal hits Justin Trudeau, surprise, surprise, and you will not believe the amount of money he has blown of Canadian taxpayers' dollars. Let's get into it.
Oh, yeah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Fringe. I really hate having to talk about this. I don't even want to get into it. I almost was sick to my stomach when I first heard this initial report, but as a channel that brings out news, especially in politics, I feel that it's important we bring this out to talk about this because another scandal is developing around Justin Trudeau and, of course, his lavish spending. His spending that, personally, I just can't grasp my head around. I know a lot of people talk about his Christmas holidays in Jamaica at $80,000 resorts that he claimed he was going to pay for himself. But when we talk about the We Charity scandal, when we talk about SNC-Lavalin, the AgaCon, the list goes on and on. But what he has just done, the middle finger he has just given to the working class Canadian. Unbelievable. Now, I'm not going to play any clips of Justin in this video because I don't know about you guys. I am sick and tired of hearing that man's voice. If we can even call him a man. But I want to get into this article coming out from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Shout out to their YouTube channel, by the way. Fantastic YouTube channel. If you haven't checked them out, go take a look at their content. They've got some good stuff. It says here, Trudeau drops nearly $200,000 on airplane food during a 6-day trip. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to get into the total cost of this bill, and the price is going to blow your mind. This makes the Queen's funeral look like nothing. Like absolutely nothing. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his entourage dropped $190,000 of taxpayer money on airplane food during a tour of the Indo-Pacific region last fall, according to accessed information records obtained by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. Now, $190,000 just on airline food. What are they eating on that airplane at $190,000? Who does this guy think he is? The taxpayer tab. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. $1.9 million for a 6-day trip. I guess one way to beat the high cost of groceries in Canada is to take the government work trip and bill taxpayers for fancy airplane food, said Franco Terrazzano, CTF federal director. For the price, the Prime Minister could have covered an average family's grocery bill for almost 2 decades. This is how the Prime Minister snubs Canadians. This is how he shows that he is just too cool for school, that he's above all of you in his ivory tower. Oh, I'm going to go have caviar and champagne on a plane. He's the Prime Minister of Canada. He's not the Queen of Sheba. This is ridiculous. From September 5th to 10th, 2023, Justin Trudeau toured the Indo-Pacific region, meeting with business leaders in Singapore, the president of Indonesia, and associated Southern Asian nations, and attending the G20 summit in India, where, again, he was known to have a little bit of the devil's dandruff, if you know what I mean, on his plane, allegedly. But here he is, doing business in Singapore, where he admires basic Chinese dictatorships. The focus of the trip was nurturing relationship with Asian leaders and advancing trade talks, or as we like to call it here in Canada, puckering up and kissing Xi Jinping's derriere. Costs for the trip included $427,000 for RCMP security. How does it cost almost $500,000 for 5 days of RCMP security? That's almost $100,000 a day. How many RCMP is he taking with him? It can't be. It's on a plane, so it can't be that many. Again, if I claimed amounts like this on my personal business taxes, I would be audited so fast. This would be fraud by most accountant standards. He also spent $643,000 for jet fuel, which emits carbon, by the way, that he's telling everybody else we're nasty for doing, and aircraft handling fees. $422,000 for hotels. For 5 days? Where are you staying? $129,000 for ground transportation and $190,000 for in-flight catering, according to the government records obtained by the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. I'm speechless. It's disgusting. The number of passengers, here we go, on the government aircraft ranged from 37 to 54 at various legs of the trip. Additional costs included $22,000 for meals and incidentals on top of in-flight catering and $2,500 for gifts. Gifts for who? For the 37 to 54 people that were on the plane? Did the RCMP get gifts? You know that if he's going to visit these leaders, he's spending more than $2,500 on gifts for those guys. So I'm not sure what this means. I can't get over, if there was only 37 to 54 at various legs, how does it cost $427,000 for RCMP security? Maybe I'm misunderstanding something here. All told, the trip cost taxpayers $1.9 million. The tab could even rise higher, as the records indicate certain expenses are still being processed. The $190,000 trip on in-flight catering surpasses the $100,000 Governor General Mary Simon spent on airplane food during her week-long trip to the Middle East in March of 2022. In the aftermath of the in-flight catering costs for Simon's trip becoming public, a parliamentary committee summoned high-ranking government employees to answer the outrageous tab, and later moved to curb future frivolous spending. We recognized that the system that we had in place was not delivering the kind of oversight and control that Canadian taxpayers deserve, said Stuart Wheeler, who was then Canada's chief of protocol. The government told taxpayers it would cut down on these extravagant trips, but dropping $200,000 on airplane food doesn't exactly scream fiscal responsibility. When has this Prime Minister ever been fiscally responsible? The government is more than $1 trillion in debt, so maybe it could cool it on these international trips. CTF has filed access information requests for in-flight catering receipts for Trudeau's 2023 Indo-Pacific tour. I hate having to talk about these things. I hate always talking about the negative, but this is disgusting. This entitled trust fund baby thinks that during a time when the average Canadian can't buy food or turn on their lights because he's burning more carbon than we do, jet setting around the world, he spends more than the average person pays for their home on security. $427,000. You could almost buy a house in some cities for that much, depending on where you're living. Not in Vancouver, but I know in Edmonton you could probably buy a starter home at that. If not very close to. The jet fuel alone could buy a house for somebody, $643,000. How does it cost that much? This is where I have so it's jet fuel and aircraft handling fees. I know I keep going back and I'm rambling. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Indo-Pacific. So he went to Singapore, Indonesia, and then over to India eventually. How do you burn $650,000 of jet fuel and aircraft handling fees? Airlines travel there all the time, and people's average tickets on a plane are maybe $1,500. Now you put that over several, 150 seats or something. I get it. But $650,000 in jet fuel? I'm speechless. This Prime Minister is out to lunch. He's out of touch. And this is why people should be furious. Absolutely furious whenever he's talking about the price on pollution and that people need to get with it and people need to backtrack what they're doing. This guy thinks he's God. He thinks that he's untouchable. And it's disgusting to see, again, at a time when people can't afford to pay their own bills. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'm sure this is going to be full of hate comments, and that's fine. And again, I apologize for rambling. I've tried to film this video 4 different times. And I still couldn't get past the first paragraph and wrap my head around $1.9 million. This is our country going to hell in a handbasket. But leave me your comments down below. If it's your first time here, I hope this video's earned your subscription. Make sure as you're subscribing, you click your bell for notifications. Leave a thumbs up or a comment down below. Anytime I post videos about Justin Trudeau, it seems that YouTube loves to just bury me in the algorithm. They don't want this content getting out. So by leaving a thumbs up or a comment, it tells people that, hey, you need to hear this information. People are watching this, and it helps the channel. And I always appreciate when people take the time to do those things. Make sure to join us also Friday night and every Friday night here on the channel for Friday Night Fringe, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, where we're going to go over things like this, but we're also going to have a little bit of back and forth with the community. I'm going to answer some of your Q&A, and it's always great to kind of unwind at the end of a week and chat with you guys in those streams. I look forward to it very much, and I look forward to seeing each and every one of you there. I hope you have a great rest of your day despite this terrible information. I'll catch you on the next one.